Food is all about the memories for me, and today the memories are taking me to Italy. I'm going to show you some of my favorite recipes that I brought back from Italy recently. I'm going to start first of all by making a fig and blueberry salad with prosciutto di Parma, mint, and lemon creme fraiche. And then with my student Barbara, together we're going to make some Farro Risotto with red wine and Grana Padano. And then for dessert, some strawberries with port and black pepper. You're in for a treat today, so don't go anywhere. You guys could have laughed at that.
Funding provided by the producers of Grana Padano, Parmigiano Reggiano, and Montasio cheese, prosciutto di Parma, and prosciutto di San Daniele. Behind every bite, centuries of tradition.
All right, we're going to start, first of all, Barbara, by turning on this pan because we're going to make a wonderful farro risotto with red wine.
What is farro?
Farro is a grain that's in the wheat family, and it's related to spelt or also wheat berries. And when you look at it, you can see it's almost like wheat berries. Kind of chewy and crunchy. It's fantastic. It comes from the northern part of Italy. I love it. It's interesting because originally it was a peasant food and now it's been kind of elevated to, you know, very chic. But anyway, we're gonna make it very chic today with this risotto. We're gonna start first of all by adding a little bit of olive oil to the pan, probably 2 tablespoons, 2 or 3 tablespoons.
Okay.
Do you feel comfortable just pouring?
Yes.
Okay. That's probably good. Okay. Now, in the meantime, I'm gonna turn that down. We'll just let that heat for a minute. You don't want it to get too hot. What we're gonna do is dice an onion. So you're gonna cut the top off like this, and then we put it cut side down. You're gonna cut that in half. Sometimes you do cry if the onions are really, really fresh. All right, you can peel the outside, and I'll do one half if you wanna do the other. Now what we're gonna do, we want this finely minced. So what I wanna do is a few sawing motions back and forth with my knife. You can see I'm going straight across and parallel to the counter. You're gonna cut a few parallel cuts, so probably like 6 cuts like this. And then you come back and then chop it like that. Here, use this pastry scraper and you can put these in the pan. And we wanna cook those for about 7 to 10 minutes until they're soft and translucent. All right, you can see how nice and soft they are now and translucent. And now we're going to add the farro. And what you do is just add all of it at once, and then you're gonna stir, because the idea is that you wanna coat every grain with the olive oil, because this is called toasting. You wanna toast the grains for about 1 to 2 minutes until they're completely coated with oil. And now, in the meantime, what we can do, Barbara, see, we've got lots to do at the same time. What you can do is add this water to the chicken stock. I already have some chicken stock in the pan, and I'm adding water to it. The reason that I don't use just straight chicken stock is because it's a little bit strong. So what I like to do is dilute it half and half with water. And really, that's what they use in Italy, which is called brodo. I'm really making farro just the same way that you make risotto with arborio rice or violone nano or carnaroli. It's exactly the same process where you toast the rice or you toast the farro, and you want to toast it for the first 1 to 2 minutes. So we start with red wine, and I'm using the same red wine throughout, so you'll see.
Is it also going to add any flavor?
Of course, it's going to add a little acidity.
Okay.
But I'm using a nice wine, like something that's got a little bit of sweetness. This is a nice fruity Zinfandel, which will be great. You can see that that's already absorbed, that red wine.
It is.
So start with just a little bit of red wine, switch over to your stock, and then back to red wine.
Okay.
All right, since we've got that nice spout on the edge of that pan, why don't you add about half of that to your risotto? Okay, that's good.
Great.
Now you can stir. Now, when you're making risotto, one thing I want to show you, Barbara, when you're making risotto, what you want to do is you always want to leave it loose in the pan. And when I say that, that means that it should really move in the pan as opposed to being really dry. If it is really dry, what you're going to end up with is you're going to have it won't be nearly as creamy in the end. This one's a little different when you make a farro risotto as opposed to a regular rice risotto. This one has a little bit more crunch to it, and the grains do stay very separate. But see how I've got a lot of liquid there in the bottom of the pan? Okay, you can go ahead and continue to stir.
I would love to stir.
And you can see how it's just bubbling here. Can you see that? How it's just bubbling right here? That's what you want, just that kind of little tremble, that bubble that you see. All right, see how most of that liquid has absorbed? There's a little bit at the bottom, but now we're ready to add some more of that broth.
So we're adding it
a little at a time. Good, that's excellent. Now you don't want to flood it either, so I usually just add it slowly and then I continue to stir. That's going to give you the best texture. The farro risotto is an example of, you know, taking a dish that's pretty simple and straightforward, a risotto, and just switching it up a little bit by using red wine instead of chicken stock the whole time. Instead of using rice or arborio or violone nano, I'm using farro. And I changed it up a little bit. And what it does is you've got a whole new dish, and it's something that really excites people. And that, for me, is what food's about. All right, so I think you could add the rest of that stock. Excellent. And now what you're gonna do is you're gonna pour a couple of cups of red wine into that pan so it heats.
A couple of cups?
Yes, good. Okay, good.
Thank you.
So always when you're adding a liquid to risotto, you always want to make sure it's warm. You don't want to add it cold.
Why is that? Why do you want to add it warm?
Because this is very starchy, and if you add something that's cold, it tends to seize the starch, and this way you're going to get a nice creamy product in the end.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
And it also just stays to temperature. Otherwise, each time you're adding it and the temperature goes down again. So you can see how it's changing. See how the grains are changing a little bit? In the end, the color is really beautiful. The deeper the wine, the richer the wine, the better. So you can add some red wine.
Okay. So I'll be adding the red wine just like I added the stock, just a little bit at a time?
Exactly. It's probably a good ladle of wine that we're adding now. And the color is going to be really beautiful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to continue to add the wine a little at a time until the grains are nice and tender.
Okay, great. Looks fantastic. Look at the color.
It's so beautiful. I love it. All right, add the rest of the red wine because we're almost there. All right. I like to have that little bit of looseness right there at the end. You don't want it to be really dry, so it'll end up being creamy. And one thing we have to do now is to taste and see how the texture is. Okay. I know it's painful.
I know, I will.
Isn't that the best texture, flavor?
You know what's nice about it? It's creamy, but it still has a little bit of, like, I don't know.
Chewiness, right?
on it.
Yes. I love
Without
it.
being, it's not gummy.
Now, I think it needs a little bit of salt to balance the acidity. So I'm going to add some salt, and we want to add some Grana Padano. This is a delicious grating cheese. And we'll add this. You can stir that in. And we're going to add some butter. And just a tablespoon of butter. Then some nutmeg. Nutmeg tastes so delicious with this. And all you want to do is just to grate some nutmeg into it.
Can you tell me why the nutmeg isn't like pre-grated? Why we're grating it?
Oh, because it's so much fresher.
Okay.
It's really nice and fresh. The flavor is so much more pungent, and it's really delicious.
More?
No, I think you're good.
Okay.
All right, but guess what? We get to taste again. I like to dirty as many spoons as I can. Oh, I can smell that. Wow.
It got better. It really got better.
I didn't even think it was possible. That is so delicious. All right, so what we're gonna do is turn the heat off,
Okay.
put the lid on, and let it sit for 5 minutes. Remember, the risotto doesn't wait for your guests. The guests wait for the risotto. It'll be creamy in the end and the perfect consistency. This is really one of my favorite risottos. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna shave a little bit of the Grana Padano right on the top. You could also use grated cheese, and I've got 2 different methods. You could either use a vegetable peeler or a cheese shaver.
Okay.
What would you like to try?
Can you show me the vegetable peeler?
I will, because you know, everybody's got one at home. Look at this, it's so easy. Just some nice big curls of Grana Padano right onto the top.
That's in addition to what we already put inside.
Yes, and then every once in a while you get a little bite of that Grana Padano.
Nice.
Want to try it?
Absolutely.
It's really a delicious cheese. It's a great eating cheese too. Isn't it nice?
Very nice. Very nice. It would taste so nice with wine.
And with the risotto.
Which has wine in it.
Exactly. And you know, it's nice to serve the exact same wine with your risotto. So if you made it with a Zinfandel, serve a Zinfandel. There we go. All right. Well, let's see how you did. How we did.
Good. Fantastic.
Isn't it?
Really
It's
good.
delicious. You just taste that little hint of the nutmeg. I love it, and with the cheese. And I love the texture of the grains too. It's so perfect.
Funding provided by the producers of Grana Padano, Parmigiano Reggiano, and Montasio cheese, Prosciutto di Parma, and Prosciutto di San Daniele. Behind every bite, centuries of tradition.